And there are significant divisions in the Deep South over the prospect of an Obama victory next week. For leaders of the civil rights movement, it's a dream come true. But for the group that stood against integration, it's being seen as a call to arms. SBS senior correspondent Thomson has been to the state of Alabama to test opinions.
They are the images that put Alabama on the map. Long after the rest of the United States had integrated its public facilities, Alabama, led by its hardline governor George Wallace, stood firm. It was a terrifying time for the leaders of the state's civil rights movement. Driven by the desire to make sure that his son did not have to endure the substandard education that he received, Dr. Sonnie Hereford III went to court to force the state to integrate its schools. He eventually won the case, and his son became the first black student in the state to be admitted to a previously all-white school.
It was scary because when we walked down the sidewalk toward the school, this angry mob, 350 people out there yelling obscenities, and we were afraid somebody might throw a rock or a stick or something. My son didn't realize what was happening, you know. So I didn't know when somebody might throw a stick. We didn't know if a sniper might shoot us or something, you know.
His son, Sonnie Hereford IV, now works for NASA. He has few memories of that tumultuous day, but the racism he experienced at school still lives with him to this day.
We had a cafeteria where, you know, the trays are stacked up. And I remember there was a little girl, and I was the only black child in the school, so a little white girl who was there who was smaller than I was. And she wasn't able to get her tray down from the top of the stack. And so I got her tray down for her, and I went to hand it to her. And she looked me right in the eye, and she said, "Oh, no, thanks. My mother told me never to take anything from a nigger."
Sonnie only suffered taunts, but others paid with their lives. The integration of the schools outraged white supremacists, so much so that they took the law into their own hands, launching a deadly attack on a black church, which killed 4 young girls who were attending Sunday school. The bombing here at Birmingham's 16th Street Baptist Church marked a turning point in the civil rights movement. The aim of the attack was to instill fear among those demanding an end to segregation, but it had the opposite effect, the public outrage helping build support for the passage of civil rights legislation. Junie Peavey was in the church at the time. Her sister Addie was one of those killed. She was unable to talk about the bombing for 20 years. At just 16 years of age, she had to identify her sister's body. She was still traumatized by what she saw.
I couldn't tell her it was her by her face. The only way I could tell was by the shoe she had on. She had one shoe, I guess the bomb had blown one of her shoes off.
The Alabama of today is a markedly different place. It celebrates the struggles of the 1950s and 60s with museums dedicated to people like Rosa Parks, who led the boycott of Montgomery's segregated buses, and monuments to Martin Luther King.
Things are so much better. They are so much better than even 10 years ago, and especially 40 years ago. I cannot believe how far that we've come in such a short amount of time, but we still got a long way to go.
And 22-year-old Nathan Rager is proof of that. He is the spokesman for the Council of Conservative Citizens, which is adamantly opposed to the prospect of an Obama presidency.
We are going to organize to a T if he wins. We are going to reach every citizen of this country with our message. We're not going to stop at anything until we get the message out that we must stop this man's radical vision for America, that we must dump him from the White House in 2012. The Council of Conservative Citizens can only grow if he wins.
But 70-year-old Jerome Gray sees it differently. He too played a leading role in the civil rights movement. He was also a director of the Barack Obama campaign during the recent primaries.
I was just amazed at the traffic of volunteers, blacks and whites, who came into our office every day, men and women, young and old. And that really showed me that, change has been taking place in Alabama.
Jerome says if Obama does win the presidency, his inauguration will make the Million Man March on Washington look like a Sunday school picnic. In Alabama, Brian Thomson, World News Australia.